it is difficult to be attended to even if you seek help from a clinic or hospital. Over the past year, we have also noticed an increase in infanticide in South Africa. Many black children, infants, are found abandoned dead next to train stations, bus stations, public places, rubbish dumps. Many young black mothers give birth and kill their children or abandon them. This is not because these young mothers are cruel, unkind, and do not love their children. It is because of the lack of supporting services in black communities, lack of adequate resources in black communities, and the government not doing its job in improving the conditions of black people in South Africa. Many of these young mothers have been brought up in poverty and starvation. They see no future at all for their offspring. And instead of bringing them up to the same condition, they decide that they should kill them or abandon them as a survival strategy for them. These conditions cannot go on forever in South Africa. Something has to change. And that change cannot come in 5 years. It has to come immediately. The government has to take steps now, not in the post-apartheid period, to redress the wrongs of apartheid in South Africa, so that we who live in South Africa can have better hopes that post-apartheid will mean a brighter future, not only for ourselves, but for our children and generations yet to be born. South Africa today is torn by what many of the Western media has termed tribal faction, black on black violence. In order to appreciate the violence in the black townships, that only not brought challenges to the South African government and forced it to change, but has also torn asunder the black community. We have to understand the nature and the operation of the South African racist regime. In the first instance, the South African white racist regime is confronted with a legitimacy crisis, both internally and externally. We, the dominated in South Africa, have rejected the established white order in South Africa. And those who rule find it extremely difficult to successfully manage us as before. Apartheid today is faced with a hostile international opinion. Faced with these challenges, the state has tried to institute reforms in South Africa. And they have often tried the strategy of cooperative tolerance. They have tried to create a so-called black middle class in the hope that this black middle class will support the state and thus divide the dominated in South Africa. However, this cooptation strategy has exacerbated rather than alleviated the problems of apartheid, because we blacks in South Africa have turned our anger against those co-opted individuals, such as the so-called homeland leaders, the town councillors, the police, and many other individuals that we have identified as hands of the state. The other issue that has contributed to the violence has been rent and transportation hikes, the question of the continuing poor black education, and the deteriorating conditions in black communities, the question of poor wages for black workers, and many other atrocities in South Africa. People in peaceful demonstration being brutally massacred by the police and military. In retaliation, we have turned against enemies, whether it be white or whether it be identified as black. This then is the anatomy of the black on black violence in South Africa. As attacks and counterattacks continue in the black township, anarchy also sets in. And there's no doubt and no denying that there has been some infighting between the black political organizations themselves. Although there has been great proof, eyewitness accounts, that the state itself has not been exonerated from instigating, fueling, and encouraging such conflicts among black people. There have been positive steps, however, between the political organizations in South Africa who have met to try and find a solution to the black on black violence as it exists in South Africa today. The Inkatha movement has met with the African National Congress, and they held promising talks, and many more such meetings are going to occur in South Africa. There have also been meetings between the African National Congress and the Pan-African National Congress to iron out differences between themselves. It is true, many people will say, how can you hope for a brighter future, for peace and unity in South Africa when there is so much black on black violence? But I am not discouraged in the long term. It is true, it is hard to live under those conditions and see that happening in your black community. But when I search the pages of history to see whether what we have in South Africa amongst the black community is new and unique, I have found that it is not new and unique. We have Ireland, where brother is fighting against brother. We have the newly freed East European countries freed from the so-called communism, where ethnic violence has erupted. We have this great, free, non-racial and democratic country where brother fought against brother, the North against South. Yet today you coexist as a country. It is not difficult for us as blacks in South Africa to overcome the hurdles and obstacles and also live side by side as brother and sister. We who live in South Africa today, both black and white, have before us not only an opportunity, but a historic duty. It is in our hands, both black and white who live in South Africa, to join our hands, our strength, and take sustenance from our diversity and varied cultures, acting together for the betterment, the peace, the stability, and harmony of South Africa. If we take those actions now, we will have a bright future for ourselves, our children, and generations yet to be born in South Africa. Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much. I'll take a few questions if people have some. Well, if people have no questions, thank you again very much for coming this evening.